year.
Well, you also said that they're going to be playing New England early. You're assuming Garoppolo is going to be a quarterback.
Well, yeah, we'll find out.
But after today, what happened in New York,
we'll
that might
see.
not be the case.
Yeah, I mean, so there was no settlement.
Correct.
In Deflategate.
And Judge Berman is going to rule sometime in the next
probably
3 or 4 days.
Tomorrow or Wednesday. We'll get a ruling there.
And you guys have followed this closely enough. He has ragged on the NFL.
Yes, he has.
And the commissioner.
Yeah, but the thing is, whatever happens, whichever ruling it goes, it's not over. The losing side is going to file an appeal immediately to request. Like if Brady loses, he's going to request a stay immediately as they appeal. So yeah.
Well, what could happen is he could play this entire year. Let's say that the judge rules that he would rule that they didn't violate, the NFL did not violate the collective bargaining agreement. He could hold himself to this strict tunnel and say that's what happened, that's what I'm ruling. And in the meantime, he had done all this NFL "you suck" kind of stuff. You know, you didn't have any evidence. You were just so then Brady would appeal, and they wouldn't hear it till after the season. He'd play the whole year.
Yeah,
so I think he's going to play one way or the other, in my opinion.
And they were going to request a stay immediately so that they could delay the punishment while this stuff is all going on. But I think he has a really good case in court. I mean, I think a much better case in court than he did with his appeal to Roger Goodell because of the grounds that they were arguing. Because it wasn't, let's go back and argue the evidence. It was, we need to argue the procedure. And I think in that case, he has some really good points there.
Who did you see there was a toxic waste dump?
Who did I see that was a toxic waste dump?
Trade wreck, dumpster fire.
A couple players.
What team? Is there a team that you saw and you went, whoa?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple. Like I spent a day in Jacksonville, and you can just tell that that's a team that I know.
Why would you go to Jacksonville?
I caught up with our old friend Julius Thomas there because I was making a whole tour of Florida. There were just some teams that you could tell that they were still just their roster-wise, there are a ways to go. I mean, Blake Bortles spent the whole offseason basically fixing his mechanics. I mean, this was the kid who was the number 2 or number 3 pick in the draft last year, and he had to go fix everything.
Did it look like he fixed everything?
I mean, he looked better. I mean, and they've looked better in their preseason games, but they just had so far to go.
Maybe he should work with Tim Tebow on Tim's mechanics.
It was the same. They worked with the same guy though, with Tom House.
Boy.
So the thing with Jacksonville, they have no pass rushers. I mean, they had a big blow. They drafted Dante Fowler, and then he tore his ACL in rookie minicamp. So, but they don't have any guys who can get to the quarterback there. I went to Atlanta. They're another team that coming off of a really rough year. New head coach in there. And I was very impressed by their offense. They brought in Kyle Shanahan as their new coordinator. Their offense has looked pretty good. It's a good system for Matt Ryan, and you've got Julio Jones there. So there's some nice pieces there. Their big question is the defense. They also don't really have guys that can get to the passer or can get to the quarterback. Their linebacker, there's just a lot of questions on that defense.
With a good defensive coordinator, though, who might be able to provide a scheme for them that makes them effective. Dan Quinn coming from Seattle. I know you need players in this league. I get it.
So,
you need players.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Quinn's a guy who knows how to maximize his players' talent, and what he did so well in Seattle and what Gus Bradley did before him, who was coincidentally in Jacksonville, where I was just talking about, was they took players, and Pete Carroll, this is what Pete does, is he takes players who other coaches don't see their value or how they fit, and they maximize their value. So I asked Dan Quinn, who are a couple guys that we don't know about yet? And we're saying you don't have players. Who are these players? And he rattled off a few names, but we haven't necessarily seen that.